Of course. Let us begin again and settle in, for this is a long and twisted tale of shadows and soldiers, of betrayal burning brighter than any desert sun. The air is thin and cold in the mountains of Al-Mazrah. A wind, sharp and unrelenting, whips across the barren rock, carrying with it the dust of centuries and the secrets of men who move in the darkness. Through a high-powered scope, the world is reduced to a silent monochrome panorama. Below, in a valley that exists on no public map, a meeting is taking place. Russian vehicles, their insignia stark against the sand, are parked near a cluster of figures. Among them, a man named General Gorbrani of the Iranian Quds Force. A ghost, a financier of chaos, a target. This is the opening move, a surgical strike called by the silent, watchful presence known as Ghost, a man whose identity is as concealed as his intentions. On the ground, a new face to the shadow war, Captain John "Soap" McTavish feels the weight of the moment. The laser designator is steady in his hands, a pinprick of light that will soon call down the fury of the heavens. The radio crackles with a voice that is all business. "Gold Eagle Actual, Shadow 1, we're burning daylight here." The confirmation comes, the order is given. From a place far beyond the clouds, a missile answers. A sliver of death that screams into the valley and turns men and metal into a fireball that licks at the sky. It is clean, it is precise, it is an execution. But in this game, no king falls without a pawn ready to seize the board. Gorbrani's death creates a vacuum, and into that vacuum steps a man of pure, unadulterated ambition. Major Hassan Zayani. He is rage personified, demanding retaliation, and he is not in Iran. He is in the heart of Al-Qatala territory in Al-Mazrah, and Task Force 141 is sent to bring him in. Imagine the darkness, the green hue of night vision, the thrum of helicopter blades beating a nervous rhythm against the night. The plan is a pincer movement. Bravo team, with Soap and Sergeant Kyle Garrick fast roping into the dust while Alpha team circles, waiting to land. But the enemy has eyes everywhere. A missile, unseen and unforgiving, tears from a hidden launcher and finds Alpha's helicopter. The world erupts in fire and spinning metal. The mission instantly transforms from a hunt to a rescue. What follows is a nightmare of close-quarters combat, of desperate men fighting through a hail of gunfire and RPGs to reach the crash site only to find a handful of survivors clinging to life. The heat is immense, the enemy relentless. They use the downed bird as bait, swarming like insects. It takes everything, including the wrath of close air support, to barely hold the line. When they finally assault the building where Hassan was last seen, they find only his discarded uniform. He has vanished, a phantom, using their own tragedy as a smokescreen. But the intel was not entirely wrong. In a nearby warehouse, hidden in plain sight, sits a horror that chills them to the bone. American ballistic missiles. How? Why? The questions hang in the smoke-filled air, more dangerous than any bullet. The trail, cold and complex, leads across the ocean to the rain-slicked cobblestones of Amsterdam. Here, CIA Chief Kate Laswell operates in the gray, partnering with a man known only as the Captain. Their target is a cell of Al-Qatala, their objective to silently dismantle a cartel payment operation. This is a world of wet metal and shifting shadows, of suppressed pistols and quiet takedowns in the fog. The Captain moves like a rumor, a story the dead tell too late. He secures a cartel lieutenant, and the information ripped from him is more valuable than any weapon. The cartel's cargo is not drugs or money. It is Hassan Zayani himself. And his destination is not a desert stronghold, but the United States, smuggled across the southern border under the cover of a manufactured migrant crisis. The threat is no longer over there. It is here. This pulls them into the brutal, sun-bleached world of the Las Almas cartel. To navigate this den of wolves, they need a shepherd of their own. They find him in Colonel Alejandro Vargas, leader of Los Vaqueros, a Mexican special forces unit as tough and uncompromising as the land they fight for. Alejandro is a man fighting a war on two fronts, against the cartels and against the corruption that has rotted his own country from within. The chase for Hassan becomes a blur of dusty streets and frantic firefights through suburban homes, a chaotic ballet where civilians are pawns and trust is a currency no one can afford to afford. They corner Hassan, but in a final, shocking act of defiance, he sets himself ablaze, a human torch denying them a clean victory. He is captured, but broken, a useless prisoner. To find the missiles, they must now go higher, to the very top of the cartel's power structure. The name on everyone's lips is a ghost, El Sin Nombre, the Nameless One. Intelligence leads them to a village deep in cartel territory, but the assault goes sideways. They are not just fighting cartel gunmen. They are engaged by the Mexican army, soldiers whose loyalties have been purchased. The mission becomes a desperate running gun battle through the mountains, a test of endurance against overwhelming odds. Just as hope seems lost, the cavalry arrives, but not in a form they would have ever wished for. The sky fills with the roar of helicopters bearing the skull emblem of Shadow Company, a private military corporation led by the smug, capable Commander Philip Graves. He is here on the orders of Shepard, their ultimate commander. With brutal, overwhelming force, Graves turns the tide. The alliance is forged, but it feels like a deal with the devil. With Shadow's intelligence and firepower, they locate Hassan at a sprawling cartel compound. The plan is a masterpiece of modern warfare. Ghost rides shotgun in a Spectre gunship, a god of war looking down from the heavens, while Soap and Alejandro fight through the hell on the ground. It is a symphony of destruction orchestrated by Ghost's calm voice over the radio. Target marked. Engaging. Buildings are leveled, armor is shredded, and finally they breach the main house and drag Hassan from his hiding place. He is in chains. The victory, however, is short-lived. They return to Alejandro's base, the Casa de Vaqueros, a sanctuary that quickly becomes a prison. The tension is a physical presence in the room. Hassan refuses to talk. And then the betrayal comes. Graves rolls through the gates with his entire force, not as allies, but as conquerors. He flashes a smile that doesn't reach his eyes and informs them that on Shepard's orders, he is now in command. When Alejandro stands his ground, the facade shatters. Shadows turn their weapons on Vaqueros. In a storm of gunfire, Alejandro is captured, his base is seized, and Ghost and Soap become fugitives, hunted by the very men who were supposed to be their brothers in arms. Cast out and wounded, they are forced to become the very phantoms they are named after. This is where Soap learns what it truly means to be Ghost, not just a mask, but a state of being. Hunted through the streets of Las Almas with only a wounded Rudy to help, he must become a creature of the underworld. He crafts tools from scraps, sets traps from poison and smoke, and moves through the city like a rumor, a story told in whispers. This is no longer a soldier's war. It is a survivalist's nightmare.
They reunite, a band of broken men, and plan a suicide mission to storm the ancient prison where Graves is holding Alejandro and the rest of the vaqueros. The assault on the prison is a catharsis of violence. They fight not as a disciplined unit, but as men possessed, fueled by a burning sense of betrayal. They breach the walls, sabotage communications, and fight through waves of shadows in a brutal close-quarters engagement that echoes through the concrete halls. When they finally blow the doors to the cells, the reunion is not of joy, but of grim resolution. And as they fight their way out, backup arrives from the most unexpected quarter. Captain John Price and Gaz, a sight for sore eyes and a much-needed infusion of firepower. Laswell, before her capture, had sent out the call. Now, with the team whole again, they turn their attention to the source of all their problems, El Sin Nombre. In a daring gambit, Soap volunteers to walk into the lion's den, offering himself as a prisoner to gain an audience with the mysterious kingpin. The meeting is a tense psychological duel in a penthouse of obscene luxury. And the reveal is a gut punch. El Sin Nombre is not a man. It is Valeria, a former Mexican Special Forces soldier, a comrade of Alejandro's, who saw the chaos and decided to become its queen. She is sharp, intelligent, and utterly ruthless. In a tense negotiation, she offers the ultimate prize, the location of the missiles, on an oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico, in exchange for her freedom. They have no choice but to agree. What follows is a colossal two-front battle across sea and sky. Price and Gaz lead an assault on a cargo ship where the control systems are housed, while Soap, Alejandro, and a temporarily re-allied shadow company storm the rig itself. The fighting is ferocious, a ballet of bullets and explosions against the backdrop of the churning ocean. They fight to the top of the rig only to see the missile launch. It is a moment of pure dread. But Price, on the ship, performs a miracle of digital judo. He cannot stop the launch, but he can change its destination. With seconds to spare, he inputs a detonate after launch code, bending the missile's arc back onto the rig itself. The team flee for their lives as the very weapon they sought to destroy turns around and obliterates the platform in a cataclysm of fire and water. But Valeria, ever the strategist, played them. She gave them the missile, but not Hassan. He was already in the United States, in Chicago, with the final third missile. The endgame begins. The final act plays out in the towering skyscrapers of Chicago. The city is in panic, a lockdown enforced by a confused and overwhelmed police force. Task Force 141 and Marines launch a breathtaking vertical assault, fast roping onto skyscrapers, fighting through offices and server rooms in a dizzying race against the clock. They find the empty missile container. Hassan is elsewhere in the building, and the missile is already in the air, its target the very heart of American power, the Pentagon. Soap, separated and wounded, stumbles upon a computer terminal. It is a mirror of Price's desperate act on the ship. Laswell, over the radio, talks him through the same terrifying override. His hands, bloody and shaking, input the codes. Link when the green light is in the 4th position. With a final decisive keystroke, he sends the command. High above the city, the missile consuming its own tail, a sun blooming where there should be none, showering the streets in harmless, burning confetti. But it is not over. Hassan is still in the building. What follows is Soap's final personal trial. Armed with little more than a makeshift pistol, wounded and alone, he becomes a hunter in a concrete jungle. He uses smoke and shadow, craftable traps, and sheer brutal will to pick off Hassan's elite armored guards one by one. This is not modern warfare. This is primal. He finally corners Hassan on a skeletal, unfinished floor, the wind howling through the exposed steel. There are no more words, no grand speeches, only the final, violent conclusion to a story that began in a desert half a world away. Hassan Ziani falls. In the silence that follows, the official story is spun. A power surge, an unexplained explosion. The truth is buried, as it always is. But for Task Force 141, the victory is ash in their mouths. General Shepard, their mentor, their leader, is gone, a traitor who unleashed Graves upon them. The threads of the conspiracy lead back, inevitably, to the Russians who supplied the missiles. And as Captain Price looks at his team, the weary Soap, the resolute Ghost, the vengeful Alejandro, he speaks a name that hangs in the air. A name that is both an end and a beginning. A ghost from another war. Makarov. The storm they weathered was merely the first squall. The true hurricane is still gathering far out at sea, and its name is vengeance.